Guys, welcome back to Stefan English, where we do English right. Here is part two to what we were talking about in the last video about culture and time. Our culture, but we're dealing with traditions actually here, exploring different cultures. And then now in this part two, we're going to talk about traditions in Poland are different from the world, I should say. Saying that now I'm living in Poland, I think is a pretty interesting topic because I'm from the western side of the world. Lived in America basically, from Barbados. Spent a lot of time in America and Barbados, and then I lived in England for a few years, and now I am in Poland. So I found it a very interesting topic because learning about Polish culture and things that happen here to me are so different to the Western upbringing I was raised in. So, today, the topic we're going to do is traditions in Poland are different from the world. Now, if you guys get value out of this video, just like, share, subscribe. If you think that this would be beneficial to a friend, send them over to our videos and just let them see if it can help, if we can help their grammar, their vocabulary, or even if they'll be interested in having some conversation classes to develop their confidence. So in this video, what we will do is we will do some reading. After that, I will do some vocabulary words here. Then also there's something I will do, which I've done where I help people understand the pronunciations of ED words. Now, at B1 level, as all these classes are at, I found that here people will have difficulties with pronunciations of words. So what I do is that I try to speak a little bit slower or read a little bit slower than I would normally to help people understand the pronunciations of words. Now, another thing that I have realized is that sometimes people may have heard ED words, or they just say ED words, but they do not pronounce it like how normal native speakers would pronounce it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pay special attention on this today and help people understand why when we say, for example, ED words, no, why when we say ED words, we say it with three different pronunciations, right? And that is what I'm going to try to focus on here as well. So the three different pronunciations we usually have would be id, so ed, but pronounced like id, d, and then also t. So I'm going to go through why we pronounce it in these different ways later on in this video. So saying that this is about reading, vocabulary, and then conversation, let's start with the reading. Well, since I'm here, we'll start with the vocabulary part. First word we have is heritage. Heritage, the tradition and the culture passed down from previous generations. For example, people in Poland are proud of their rich heritage. Next word we have is meatless, meaning without meat. So in Poland, the Christmas Eve dinner in Poland is meatless. Basically meaning they do not usually have meat. Symbolize, to represent something else, usually an idea or concept. Example, the 12 dishes at the Christmas Eve meal symbolize the 12 apostles. Wafer, a thin, flat piece of bread used in religious ceremonies. So families in Poland share a wafer before the Christmas meal. Splash, to throw water slightly. Well, in some cases it can be to throw, but sometimes it isn't really throwing water. It is that water is going on someone, right? Water is going on someone. Sometimes it's lightly, sometimes it's not lightly. So, for example, if a car is driving past you, say you're at the bus stop, car's driving past you, and there's water on the road, and that water comes up and hits you, you can say, I was splashed by a vehicle, right? So in that case, it wasn't lightly sometimes. It's not lightly. So yeah, that would be, is water being thrown on you though. All right. The example here would be on wet Monday, people splash water on each other for fun. Next word I have is reflection. Careful thought or consideration. All Saints Day is a day for reflection and remembering loved ones. Remembrance. The act of remembering and honoring someone or something. Example, lighting candles at graves is a tradition of remembrance in Poland. Transition, a change from one state to another. The bride's veil is removed to symbolize her transition to married life. Fortune teller, predicting someone's future, usually in a game. Example, on Andraki, people play fortune telling games to predict their future. Pride, a feeling of deep satisfaction from one's own or others' achievements. For example, Polish families take pride in preparing traditional holiday meals. Rural, related to a countryside, not the city. Many Polish dances come from rural traditions. Custom, a traditional practice followed by people in a particular culture. So sharing opłatek is a custom at Christmas in Poland. And in the reading, you'll learn a little bit more about these customs that they have in Poland. Ceremony, a formal event held on special occasions. The Oshpine ceremony is a special part of Polish weddings. Next one, graves. Places where people are buried after death. Families visit graves on All Saints' Day to honor their loved ones. Now I'm stressing on that honor because in this word, the H is silent. So you will not pronounce it as honor, you'll pronounce it as honor. Honor, the H is silent in this one. Next one we have fortune, the future or fate of a person. People believe that the shape of the wax will tell their fortune. Now, some of these examples may not make sense right now, but what I will do is that in the reading, I think that for you as a listener, you will understand what I'm talking about here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to head on over to the reading, and then we will go through it that you understand it. So, topic for today, as I said earlier, is traditions in Poland are different from the world. Poland is a country rich in history and culture. Many Polish traditions are unique and have been passed down through generations. These traditions are an important part of the Polish identity and are celebrated by people throughout the year. Some Polish customs may be different from those in other countries, but they show how proud the people are of their heritage. One of the most important holidays in Poland is Wigilia, a Christmas Eve dinner. This meal is special because it is meatless and it starts after the first star appears in the sky. The dinner usually has 12 dishes symbolizing the 12 apostles, and families often share opłatek, a thin wafer, before the meal, wishing each other good health and happiness. This tradition is different from many countries where Christmas Day is the main celebration. Śmigus Dingus, also known as Wet Monday, is another unique Polish tradition. This holiday is celebrated on the Monday after Easter, and people splash water on each other as part of the fun. It is believed that being splashed with water brings good luck for the year. This playful custom is not common in other parts of the world, but in Poland it is a popular way to continue the Easter celebrations. In Poland, All Saints' Day is a special day to honor those who have passed away. On November 1st, families visit cemeteries to clean and decorate the graves of their loved ones. They place candles and flowers on the graves, creating a peaceful and respectful atmosphere. This day is a time for reflection and remembrance, and it is much more serious compared to similar holidays like Halloween, which is more focused on fun and costumes in other countries. Polish weddings are filled with traditions. One custom is the oświecenie ceremony, where the bride's veil is removed at midnight and she wears a headscarf instead, symbolizing her transition from bride to wife. Guests sing songs and play games during the ceremony, making it a fun and memorable part of the celebration. While weddings are special events everywhere, these traditions make Polish weddings stand out. Food is an important part of Polish culture, and many traditional dishes are served during holidays. For example, pierogi, dumplings, and borscht, beetroot soup, are popular during Christmas, while mazurek, a sweet cake, is commonly eaten at Easter. Each dish has its own history and meaning, and Polish families take pride in preparing these dishes, which are often different from the foods served in other countries during the same holidays. Another tradition in Poland is celebrating Andrzejki, or St. Andrew's Day, on November 29th. The night is filled with fortune telling games as people try to predict their future. One popular game involves pouring hot wax through a key into cold water. The shape of the wax is believed to reveal something about the future. This tradition is specific to Poland and is not commonly practiced in other countries. Polish folk music and dance also plays an important role in keeping traditions alive. Dances like the Bolognese and the Mazurka are still performed at weddings and festivals. These dances are part of Poland's national identity, and they remind people of their country's history and rural life. Folk music and dance may not be as popular as modern cities, but in Poland, sorry, folk music and dance may not be as popular in modern cities, but in Poland, they remain a proud part of cultural celebrations. In conclusion, the traditions of Poland are unique and different from those in many other parts of the world. These customs bring families and communities together and allow them to celebrate their heritage. Whether it's through food, holidays, or music, Polish traditions are a way for people to connect their past and pass it on to future generations. Now, since we have done that part, the reading, I know you would have heard me stressing on certain words, especially words that had ed. What I'm going to do now is explain it a little bit more. Now, through my years of teaching, especially here in Poland, I have found that when people pronounce certain words, especially words that have ed at the end of them, they usually pronounce them, for example, like this: perform it. Perform it. They will pronounce it like perform it. Practice it. Feel it. Believe it. All right. Serve it. Remove it. All right. Focus it. So they stress more on the ed. Now, in this video, I am going to break it down and let you guys understand the difference in the pronunciations of the ed words. All right. With words that usually have a very strong final letter of the root word and it has a T or D pronunciation, with those words we usually have an id sound to them. So if we use a word like, for example, want, it has a strong T sound. If you use a word like edit, actually, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to redo this here further down that people can understand it properly. So I'm going to do it over down here. I've created a new page that I can do all of this, and I will put it that so that I can do a lot more and that it can be understood. So id pronunciations, we have id, id, then we have d, also meaning ed, and then t, also meaning ed. Now, hopefully this will help a lot of people understand when native speakers normally pronounce words, why they sound totally different. So, ed, it. The reason why we will pronounce it as it is because with words that have a very strong pronunciation of a T and D in their final letter, we usually add that extra pronunciation to them of it, all right? So for words like want, edit, decide, these words we would use, or let's say another one, need. So we have two words that have a final pronunciation of T, and then we have two words that have a final pronunciation of D. So words that have that very hard pronunciation of T and D, we add that extra pronunciation of tid. So wanted, edited, decide, did. All right, decided. And the last one, need, did. So with those words, this is the difference. This is why we will have that hard id on those words. Let's start with the first word, call. What I want to say here is that these words, that when you turn them into ed words, they usually have a vibration. So called, call, when you say it, you can touch your throat and try it, touch your neck and try it. When you say call, clean, love, use, play, these words have a vibration. And with words that have a vibration, we normally, when we pronounce them in the ed form, we say them called. We stress on that D pronunciation. It's unlike the words before where we had wanted or decided. These words have a softer ed pronunciation. Called, cleaned. So it'll be called, cleaned, loved, loved. Then we have used and played. Right? So these are words that when you say them, they have a vibration. These words, we normally have the D sounded. So we've already gone through the id. Now we've finished the D. Now the last to help you understand will be the T sound. Let's start with the first word, kiss. When we hear it, kiss, there's no vibration. It's voiceless. There's no voice like the D words. So kiss, miss, like, stop. So let's go through this here now. Kissed, kissed. It's ed, but it has the T sound. Hard kiss. Next one, miss, missed, missed. Vibration, no vibration. Missed. Light, light. Stopped. Now, let me explain this one here a little bit better. Stopped. Normally, because it has a two P's, I've heard many people say stop it. This one still keeps that rule of no voice or no vibration, then it will have the T sound. So even though it is S-T-O-P-P-E-D, it still sounds like S-T-O-P-T. Stopped, stopped. All right. So this is the ed words, and hopefully you understand the ed words so that when we go back up here, words like perform, we will no longer say them as performed. From now on, I hope I can hear you guys saying performed, performed, perform. When you hear that form, formed, formed. So that will have the D pronunciation. Practice, practice, practiced. So because that has the voiceless ending, you have it with the T. Believe, believe, believed. So you have the D sound. Filled, fill, filled, filled. Next one we will have serve, served, remove, removed. And now let's go to one right here. Perfect. So here will help you understand now where the T sound comes, the hard id sound comes. Now, as I said before, words that usually have a strong ending in the root word of the root word of a T or D, we normally have that pronunciation of id. So this word here, celebrate, celebrate. When we say it in the past tense now, this will be celebrated, celebrated. So those are the ways that we would pronounce the three ed words. So for example, so let's recap it here. Celebrate, celebrated. So ed, it. We have believe, believe, because of that vibration, eve. This would be believed with the D sound. And let's look at this word here, splash. Splash. So there's no vibration here. So this word, when we pronounce it, it would be like splashed, like a T sound. So here we go. There you can understand where and why we would pronounce words like this. Now let's go on to some other vocabulary words. Let's start with the word appears. Appears here, it says, this meal is special because it is meatless. And it starts after the first star appears in the sky. So when we look at the first star appears in the sky, appears means is that the first time you see it, it wasn't there before and it just suddenly shows up, or it shows up. And so that is basically what the word appears means here. So we have appears. Next one, involves. Involves means that it is a part of. So one game involves pouring hot wax through a key into cold water. So in this game, a part of this game is pouring wax through a key. Right? So when I look at what we have done, I think we have done this word here, unique, before. This word unique means special. Next time you are speaking about something or someone and you're saying that this is special, that is special, or someone is special, instead of saying special, 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 you can use another word called unique. And I think we might have done this in the previous video, which was on exploring culture around the world, where we might have came across this word in the first time in our classes. Here, you can use the word special instead, you can use the word unique instead of the word special all the time. Okay. Now, what I will do is that we'll go on to a little bit of conversation classes that I will do. Seeing that I'm a teacher in Poland and my culture is very different in some cases to Polish culture, this has been a pretty interesting class when it comes to us having a conversation about different things that happen in Poland. So let's start with the first one here, Wigilia. In Poland, they have a tradition where on Christmas Eve, they celebrate something called Wigilia, where, as it says in the reading, they have 12 dishes and families come over and share opłatek, which is a piece of wafer. Now, this is very different to my cultures because we do not have any celebration on Christmas Eve. We start our celebrations on Christmas Day, and it would not be Christmas for us without having meat. So ours is opposite because ours has meat, while in Poland, theirs is meatless. They don't eat meat for their Wigilia. So on the first day of Christmas, they don't eat meat. Well, on my first day of Christmas, meat is a very important part of Christmas. This is how we have some differences. One, opłatek. I've never heard of that part of a tradition until I came to Poland. Very interesting tradition. I don't like the wafer, but it's a very interesting part of tradition here in Poland. Next would be Śmigus Dingus, also known as Wet Monday. And this is usually after Easter. Never heard of it until I came to Poland as well. It looks like a load of fun. If I was young growing up in Poland, I think I might have been arrested because I can take fun too far sometimes. And I would enjoy wetting up people in Poland. So they say splashing people. It's believed that being splashed with water brings good luck, for a year, well, people have a lot of luck because I'll be drowning them with water. Just be throwing water on them because I was that type of kid. I love to have fun, and sometimes I took fun a little too far. All right, next one I would say, which is the most interesting tradition I have seen. Now, coming from a Western country and living in America as well, we celebrate Halloween, and we celebrate also being around a lot of Latin, Spanish speaking people, especially from Mexico. I would have come across people that celebrate Day of the Dead. And here in Poland, they celebrate a Day of the Dead similar, but it's called All Saints Day, where people go to the cemetery and they clean and decorate the graves. And it is a very beautiful sight to see on a night. But I also call it the Fashion Day of the Dead because I thought I would have to go to France or Milan to see the fashion shows, but just go to a cemetery on November 1st in Poland and you felt like if you have just watched a runway show. It is one of the most beautiful, most craziest things to see, as in what people are wearing and stuff like that there. So it's the Fashion Day of the Dead because there's so many people that come in to put the candles, to redecorate or to decorate the graves. So it's a very, very beautiful sight to see, especially at night. But it's also really interesting to see what people are wearing because sometimes it's like, my. Amazing. All right. Now, the last one I will talk a little bit about is Polish weddings. I think if you have a Polish friend, they need to warn you about Polish weddings. Polish weddings are something I think you need to have training for. It's not a normal tradition. I've been to weddings around the world, but a Polish wedding is a wedding that is totally different to anything I have come across. So this is an experience. People may see those beautiful weddings on social media. Polish weddings are just as beautiful as they are, but there are some other details about Polish wedding which I think would be a really good conversation. If you have a Polish friend, ask them that question. Tell me about a Polish wedding. What is it like? And you might be surprised of what crazy stuff happens at a Polish wedding. Right? So these are some things that we will talk about in our class about culture, Polish culture as it relates to these things, Polish wedding, All Saints Day, Śmigłos Dźwigów, Wigilia, which is also their Christmas. And we can have a conversation about that versus my cultures that I have been a part of. This is what we will do for our traditions in Poland are different around the world. Now, if you have gotten value from this, I would like you to share this with your friends. And even if you want to, you can rewatch this video, slow it down, and work on maybe your pronunciations of ED words. I think that would be very helpful. I hope that section that I spoke about when I was going through ED words at the bottom down here, that helped with the pronunciation of ED words, helping you understand the three pronunciations that we have for those ED words, the T, the D, and the ID sounds.